rosemary for remembrance, and pansies for thought. There is a language of flowers. And some say that the history of the language of flowers, which really hit its stride in the Victorian era, some say the history of this goes back to the tulip mania of the 17th and 18th century, when people were just absolutely going wild for tulips. In fact, in the early 17th century, there was such a demand for tulips that there was a speculative market for tulip bulbs, and there was a market crash in 1637. This was the first recorded speculative bubble in history. And it was a speculative bubble for tulip bulbs, not for housing, but for tulip bulbs, for something that brought beauty. Now, yes, it was still a stock market of sorts, but tulip bulbs. But this language of flowers, there are threads that go further back than that. Shakespeare was certainly writing before this tulip mania. Rosemary for remembrance, and pansies for thoughts. Some say the rosemary is for remembrance because if you rub it in your hands, if you rub it along your hands, it will retain the fragrance. Now that's true of most any herb. But rosemary for remembrance. And there's a language of flowers that goes back, thousands of years, even in scripture. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin, yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not clothed like one of these. If you can name that reference, you get to stay after school and clean the erasers. You can put it in the chat. But this language of flowers, this really, as I said, it came to a head during Victorian times. Now, this is a Western language. There are other cultures that also have a language of flowers, and it's not all the same language. So we have to know what language we're speaking. Begonias mean beware or dark thoughts. Black-eyed Susans mean justice. Bluebells mean humility or constancy. Carnations in general mean women and love, but the different colors can represent things. A red carnation means heartache, but a red rose means love. A white carnation means innocence and pure love. A pink carnation, I'll never forget you. A yellow carnation means rejection. Yellow flowers in general in the West often mean when the flowers come in different colors. The yellow version often means some kind of rejection or friendship or not, but not true love. Clematis means mental beauty. A daffodil is regard or unequaled love, but that's a yellow flower. A daisy is innocence and hope. A forget-me-not, well, it's in the name. That's also for remembrance, forget-me-not. A hyacinth is for play, and flowers are playful. Now, a marigold in the West can mean despair, grief, or jealousy, but that's in the West. In Hindu weddings, marigolds symbolize the sun, brightness, and positive energy, and they are associated with Lord Vishnu and the goddess Lakshmi, who are considered to be the ideal couple. So which language of flowers are we speaking? Daylilies are a Chinese emblem for mother. And in Western culture, lilies are often a traditional flower for graves. And we also have Easter lilies. So they're also a sign of new life, but coming from the grave, if you understand the theology. Flowers can mean so many different things. But we don't have to assign a particular meaning. We don't have to go to a guidebook, a Victorian guidebook, to know what the flowers say. Remember those commercials, say it with flowers. Well, we can say many things with flowers. We can use them at almost every occasion. We can say love and care. We can use them in solemn occasions and joyful occasions. We can use them just to brighten up a room. And the thing is, it almost doesn't matter what kinds of flowers we're talking about. Teeny tiny little flowers, massive blooms. They all add to the beauty of the garden. Perhaps you have flowers growing where you live, inside or outside. And perhaps you look at them grow and you know how they change. When you see the bud, you're seeing the underside of a flower, the side we don't usually look at. And we don't know what's inside. And then it starts to open. And there's the surprise. It might be completely different from what we were seeing in the bud. The colors might be different. The textures might be different. Some flowers, some blooms are made up of groups of lots of little flowers. Some flowers bloom individually. But all need some amount of care. They all need sunlight and water and nutrition from the earth. Just as we do. We all need light and nutrition and water. And some need to grow on other things in order to thrive. Some of us need that too. Some of us need to lean on one another a little more than others of us, and that's fine. Some flowers grow very, very tall, others stay very near the ground, and we need them all. Some of us literally grow tall, and some of us stay near the ground. Some of us figuratively loom large in life. And some of us might live more modestly in other ways, doing the important work we do in that way. But we all make up the garden. They all make up the bouquet. And when we collect them together, when we bring them all together, the language, what it's speaking, is absolute beauty. Absolute beauty. There might be rosemary for remembrance and pansies for thought. There might be some red roses, some white carnations. There might be some massive blooming peonies, some beautiful tulips without fragrance. And some lavender that we can smell from across the room. All make up the beauty of the earth. We cannot do without a single one. Beloveds, I am so glad that you are a part of this gorgeous bouquet. The bouquet that makes up UUCLV, and the larger arrangement that makes up the Lehigh Valley and Pennsylvania, and the bouquet of our nation and the garden of our world. Each one of you is beautiful. Each one of you is important. Namaste.